Hello everyone, I am Lata, Assistant Professor of English. I am working at Government First Grade College, Javgar. In this subject refresher course that is organized by UGC HRDC, Aligarh Muslim University, I am presenting a paper for seminar. My topic for seminar is Perspectives on Comparative Literature. Before going to understand what is comparative literature, let's look on what is literature. Literature is a group of works of art made up of words. Most are written, but some are passed on by word of mouth. So there are many different kinds of literature, such as poetry, plays, or novels. So then, what is comparative literature? Comparative literature is the study of literature and other cultural expression across linguistic and cultural boundaries. Comparative literature is the study of two literature or more. Comparative literature juxtaposes literary text from different languages and cultures. It connects a poem with a dance, a film with a novel, photography with the essay. Every nation has its poets and songs. Every continent has its novelists, bards and chroniclers. By comparing their works across the world unites the literature and it will become world literature. What scholars in comparative literature shares is a desire to study literature behind national boundaries and an interest in languages so that they can read foreign text in their original form. Definition of comparative literature. So Henry Remarque in his work Comparative Literature Method and Perspective, he says comparative literature is the study of literature behind the confines of one particular country and the study of the relationship between literature on one hand and other areas of knowledge and belief such as the arts, philosophy, history, social science, the sciences, religion, etc. On the other, in brief, it is the comparison of one literature with another or others, and the comparison of literature with other spheres of human expression. The discipline of comparative literature in toto, a method in the study of literature in at least two ways. First, comparative literature means the knowledge of more than one national language and literature, and or it means the knowledge and application of other discipline in and for the study of literature. And second, comparative literature as an ideology of inclusion of the other, be that a marginal literature in its several meanings of marginality, a genre, various text types, etc. Comparative literature has intrinsically a content and form which facilitate the cross-cultural and interdisciplinary study of literature, and it has a history that substantiated this content and form. Right from the age of Chaucer to the 21st century, there is a law of connectivity. When we read sonnet of Spenser, Shakespeare or Watt and Surrey, why do we remind the sonnets of Petrarch? Why does an image of Gandhi comes to in our mind when we read the novels of R.K. Narayan and Raja Rao's Kantapura? Why do we associate Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe with Frankenstein by Mary Shelley? Though there is a difference in using form of the novel and drama, tendency of relating one phenomena to another, it is one of the crucial feature of human being, and perchance it might have given the momentum to the rise of comparative literature. Goethe gave the term Welt literature with an important say by. It is becoming more and more obvious to me that poetry is becoming common property of all mankind. So becoming a common to all is a real meaning of comparative literature. When asked to deliver a lecture on comparative literature to the Indian National Council of Education in February 1907 in Calcutta, Tagore opted to name his lecture Vishwa Sahitya or World Literature. His decision continues to resonate within Indian comparative literature today. On its website, the Comparative Literature Association of India, it states the following among its objectives: to promote the ideal of one world by appreciation of comparative literature behind national frontiers, and in pursuance of thereof to rise above separate identities of a single national literature, so that the all-embracing concept of Vishwa Sahitya as visualized by Tagore or Goethe's Welt literature may be realized as a measure of international understanding. As Susan Bennett, the British scholar and historian of comparative literature, says, Regarding about why we need comparative literature, she says most of us do not start with comparative literature, but we may end up with it in some way or the other, traveling towards it from different points of departure. There are different perspectives there on comparative literature. Comparative study is an independent discipline that is born in the latter half of the 19th century. It consists of the following schools. French school, also known as the School of Influence Study, proposes that in comparative literature, it is a study of the relation of writers or works between two countries. The object generally comes from the same cultural source. There are historical and geographical evidences. Stress on the historical consciousness and fact relations of two or more kinds of literatures, with less attention to the aesthetic research. Paul van Theman, a representative personage of the French school, points out in comparative literature studies that the actual characteristics of comparative literature, like all the characteristics of historical sciences, are to gather different facts from as many sources possible, so as to fully explain each fact, know more about the facts, and finally find reasons for each result. He also specifically defines the scope, content, and approaches of the study. The purpose of comparative literature study is to depict related paths, including explaining the interaction among literatures of different nations, discussing about origins and evolution process of various themes, thoughts, and figures, and studying the ways in which literature of different nations influence one another. The influence study has already formed into a complete theoretical system, but is still criticized by American school for being partial to origin and influences, causes and effects. While limiting its own scale, American school is also named as the School of Parallel Study. In the 1950s, René Belloc, Henry Remarque, and other scholars did not follow the influence study of French school, but opened a new path through American comparative literature theory and practices, and compared the two literature without direct influences and compared literature with other disciplines. It finally largely broadened the horizon of comparative study and exerted profound influences globally. The theoretical foundation of American school is the new criticism theory, which was once popular in the literary criticism field in the middle of the 20th century. It objects the traditional method of literary criticism that focuses on connecting works with such external factors as the author's life, society, history, background, literary tradition, etc., but proposes that literature should be an independent, acting and fulfilling being and boast unique aesthetic values. Therefore, the researchers should focus on its forms and characteristics. Henry Remarque, in his work Comparative Literature, Method and Perspective, written in the year 1961, he held that American schools of definition of comparative literature is behind the scope of one country, which also studies the relation between literatures and other knowledges and religious fields. Remarque also points out that comparative literature is the comparative study of literature of one country with that of another country or the other countries, and the comparison between literature and other expression fields. What he stresses is not relation but comparison, which means the two literature without any relation could also be compared. Since American school focuses on literary phenomena of different nations which could not have actually links but enjoy common aesthetic values, it is also named as parallel study. Here I have taken two textbook example for a comparative study. That is Russian authors Gogol's The Overcoat and Melville's Bartleby the Scrivener. The two stories, The Overcoat and Bartleby the Scrivener, have an almost similar plot. The author focuses on two characters that might be considered social misfits, especially in Melville's story. In both stories, the main characters lead rather miserable lives due to their social status. Akaki's poverty is shown when he has to save up to just to buy a coat after his old coat is ridiculed by his colleagues. Bartleby sleeps at the office where he works, meaning that he cannot afford to rent a place. They both enjoyed doing their work at first. Bartleby shuts down and stops working altogether, while Akaki's love for his job is overtaken by the excitement of owning a new coat. Akaki conforms to society and decides to buy a new coat. He even accepts the offer of a party being held in honor of his new coat. Things He normally does not do as he shuns attention. But Bartleby is defiant to his death. He refuses to associate with his colleagues. He declines help from his boss and even refuses to eat while in prison. He rebels towards his work, his boss, and the society when he refuses to lead a normal life. Akaki rather rebels in his death. He steals people's coat as a vengeance for his stolen coat. He is finally satisfied when he steals the general's coat. Therefore, he stops haunting the town. Akaki seems like a pleasant man as suggested by his name. He loves his work and his colleagues' behavior towards him doesn't affect him one bit. He is unlike Bartleby, whose character is unlikable. His colleagues are irritated by him. He even forces his boss to relocate his business to get rid of him. Gogol and Melville's style of writing is similar. Their focus is on the downtrodden and how society treats them. Whereas Gogol brings out an almost likable character, Melville makes it easy for the reader to detest his main character. Their stories have a similar theme, rebellion, albeit brought out differently. The ending of the stories are also similar. The main characters die, one from the illness, another from starvation, both of which are major issues among the low class in society. The author's kind of writing can be said to be tragic as both stories end in death of the main characters. Therefore, when the stories are told, the narrator should ensure that the intensity of the themes are brought out and effectively passed across as they should be. The stories have strange anticlimactic endings, that is death. This is meant to capture the attention of the readers so that they know the focus of the authors, which are the tribulation of the main characters. These endings also serve to create a lasting impression on readers. They have something to ponder on after reading the stories. In conclusion, the two stories focus on major issues in society. The characters of Akaki and Bartleby are representatives of the low class in society and other O's. Their rebellion symbolizes how the low class attempts to get back at those who oppress them. Therefore, their death symbolizes lost hope and dead dreams of better lives and justice. To conclude this paper presentation, as I told, comparative literature. So the literature intention is a upholding of universal values. So the comparative approach to literature has a dual nature. It brings us clear to what is foreign to us in such a way that we cannot appropriate it, and at the same time distances us from what is familiar to us so that we can survey it. One never clearly observes what is right in front of our eyes nor what is too distant. The academic study of literature hands us a telescope. One end magnifies, the other reduces. The art of the matter is to use it in such a way that we can make up for the illusion of immediate perception. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to present a paper in this seminar. Thank you, UGC HRDC, Aligarh Muslim University, all the organizers. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to present a paper. Thank you.